Hi everybody, my name is Danielle Nicole and welcome to Monetary Makeup. Today I am testing out for the very first time this Sleepover palette from Unearthly Cosmetics. Now I have actually never tried anything yet from Unearthly, previously known as Alen Cosmetics, so I'm super excited to dive right in. Now this Sleepover palette is actually Pressed Pigments as far as the formula goes, so not only are we going to be trying this out on the eyes, but also on the face. So if you're excited to get started and enjoy the video while you're watching, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and let's get started right now. So first of all, the packaging on this Sleepover palette is so adorable. It has 3 women on it as if they are doing a sleepover. So overall, love the aesthetic. So we'll be doing swatches as well as a demo today, but look at how beautiful these pigments are. Now, even though it does lean pink, I would say it leans on the cool side, but it still has some traditional shades as well. Now, as I mentioned, these are pressed pigments, so if you do plan on using these on the eyes, I always recommend doing a patch test first. Now, this palette is actually identical as far as the artwork goes on the box, so once you remove the palette from the box, it looks exactly the same. Now, this palette is actually a little bit outside of my comfort zone, but the one thing that drew me to this palette and the color story is that it definitely has a more cool tone to it, and especially this lilac shade right here. So I'm definitely going to be testing out a few of these shades on the cheeks. Now, when I swatched these pigments, oh my goodness, these were extremely pigmented. Probably some of the more pigmented pigments or shadows that I've ever swatched. So I highly recommend going in with an eyeshadow and patch testing, as I mentioned before, just to prevent any staining or irritation. All right, let's get started with application. So first, let's dip into the shade Stay In. This shimmer right here is just calling my name. Rougher number 2. So as I mentioned, these were extremely pigmented. So what I think I want to do is kind of pack this on the lid, and then we can do a little bit of blending. This shade is just so beautiful. It's definitely brown, however, it has a hint of red to it, and I can already tell that these shimmers you could probably blend and then buff away some of the shimmer to basically turn into a matte if you wanted to, but I really like this shade. You guys are going to have to let me know, since I'm pretty new to Unearthly or Alen Cosmetics, as they used to be known for. So if you have any other favorites that you've tried from them that you really enjoy, definitely let me know down below. I'm just going in with a Wayne Goss number 5 with no additional product and just buffing out the edges a little bit. Alright, so yes, I was definitely right. So I noticed as I started to blend out those shimmers, a lot of those micro glitters kind of blew away and basically turned into a matte. So I just went back in with my rougher brush and just added a little bit more across the lid to get a little bit of that shimmer back. To smoke out the outer corner, I want to dip into the shade Cuddles. So I suspect Cuddles is going to be super pigmented. Yes. So I barely dipped in with my brush just to slowly build up. Alright, so Stay In could certainly be a one and done shade. Absolutely stunning. So next I want to dip into Beloved, the lilac purple right here. And I just want to create a little bit of a gradient above the crease. Wayne Goss number 6. Now I had to put a sweatshirt on, you guys, because the sun was out a minute ago. And granted, it's only, I think, 30 degrees right now. But I'm telling you what, when the sun is out, it makes such a difference. Now that the sun went away, it's so cold, so definitely had to put my hoodie back on. These are blending so beautifully. Alright, well, hopefully you can see how adding Beloved in the inner half of the eye, I think it just kind of opened up my eyes a little bit. So I'm going to leave that right there for right now, and next let's move on to the lower lash line. Rougher number 2. I'm dipping back into Stay In, and I'm going to apply this to the lower lash line. I'm sorry, you guys, that I've been gone off of YouTube for a little bit, about a week or so. I actually have been pretty ill lately, not feeling the greatest. And I also work about 10 other jobs. Not 10, but quite a few. So it's just been kind of a rough week or so, but glad to be back here now. All right, you guys, so full disclosure, I actually ended up having to step away to do a couple of errands. So I just got back home and it's been a couple of hours. So let's finish up this eye look. All right, so I'm pretty sure I was working on the lower lash line. So next I want to dip into Cuddles, this matte brown, just to deepen up the lower lash line. Wayne Goss, number 7. I think I want to dip into that hot magenta pink in a second here and kind of focus that on the inner half of the lower lash line. But oh my gosh, you guys, these are blending like an absolute dream. And I don't say that lightly. Oh yeah, the difference just adding a little bit of that brown versus nothing on this side. I think it's giving it that nice sultry look. I guess I'm also pretty shocked because these are so pigmented. I expected there to be much more fallout, but I'm hardly getting anything. All right, so just to add a little pop of color, next I'm going to dip into this magenta shade, which is called Flirty. Wayne Goss, number 6. I mean, check this out, you guys. I literally just went boop with my brush, and look at how much pigment there is. Now, the amount of pigment doesn't always mean the formula is good. However, in this case, it certainly is. But I just want a little something to make this look pop. All right, next I want to dip into one of these satin shimmer shades. So the shade I'm going to dip in is actually called Satin right here. I want to try using my finger. So this is what the shade Satin looks like. I'm going to focus this on the inner half of the lid. Whoo! Wow, these are crazy pigmented. Okay, I was not expecting that. Holy cow. I need to take a brush and blend that out a little bit. I just was not expecting that much pigment. You know, on the mattes, pigment you can kind of expect, but usually with shimmers, they don't really wow me that much, but holy cow, that was like instant shine. Okay, holy cow, the shine on the shade Satin, it is pretty intense. Now, what I will say is there definitely was fallout. However, I went in pretty heavy-handed when I dipped my finger in just because I was not expecting there to be so much color payoff. So if you do use your finger, I recommend just dipping in very lightly and don't go in with too much like I did. So I'm going to use my Nimya fan and just get a little bit of the fallout off. So I just took a little bit of this black called Sleepover with my eyebrow brush and just stamped it across the upper lash line just to create a little bit of definition near the lashes. So next I want to dip into this lightest shimmer right here, which is called Laughter. Now I'm really excited to test this shade out. Now it probably looks more just like a white traditional shimmer color in the camera. However, in person, it has such a almost yellow, gold, and green shift to it. It's probably going to be difficult to pick up on camera, but it looks very pretty. So I just want to add a little bit of this on the inner corner. All right, well that is the completed look for the eyes. However, I do have to finish adding mascara, but before I do that, next let's move on to the rest of the skin. I can't wait to show you guys up close in just a minute here. The way these shimmers pop on the inner corner and the lid is just beautiful. So now that I know the pigmentation on these is insane, I'm definitely going to go in with a light hand. And what I'm going to use today is the Sanji Lotus Detail Brush. So I'm just going to take my time building up Beloved on the cheeks. I mean, I barely dipped in and you can see all the pigment that picked up. So let's see how this does as a blush. Ooh, this definitely has a nice lilac pop to it. Since the eyes are a little bit more dramatic, I'm just keeping it fairly light for the cheeks. All right, you guys, so this is what that shade looks like as a blush. And I have to say, it's really nice. It has that perfect lilac kind of cool tone hue to it. So for my skin tone, absolutely love this shade as a blush. Next, let's move on to highlighter. I'm going to dip into one of the shades here. I just went and quickly applied a new mascara that I had in my collection that I haven't tried yet. So this is the MAC Magic Extension 5mm Fiber Mascara. And I have to say, I usually like fiber mascaras because they usually add insane length. However, I found this formula incredibly dry. I personally like a little bit more of a wet formula. So unfortunately, I'm not the biggest fan of this mascara, at least as of now. So that's why my lashes are looking a little bit wimpy. I went ahead and applied this, but just wanted to mention that it's not my fave. So let's see how the shade Satin and Laughter work as a highlighter. So I just picked up a little bit of Satin, and that was the shade I went in on the inner portion of the lids that I was like, wow, holy cow, this has so much pigment to it. So I definitely tapped off my brush, but I just want to see if this would work or not. Ooh, yeah. So keep in mind, you guys, I'm going in with a very light hand, and I did tap my brush off this time. So no highlighter. In the shade Satin. I think it looks pretty, right? All right, next I just picked up the shade called Laughter. This is the one I use as the inner corner highlight, which has a little bit more of a yellow hue to it. So let's see. Okay, so what I'm thinking is I actually like the way Satin looks better. However, I do like the pop that Laughter has, so I just picked up a little bit more of Satin. So I think what would work best for someone with a fair to light complexion like me is going in with Satin first, and then going in with a little bit of Laughter just kind of as a topper to make it really pop. So I'm just adding a little bit of both shades to each cheekbone, that way I can even myself out. Holy cow, did you see that? I just went in with a little bit too much. Man, these are looking great as highlighters. All right, if you want a wham bam in your face outer space, look at that sheen. Now, even though Laughter, I would say, has a little bit more micro glitters or shimmers to it, I think on the cheekbones, it looks beautiful as a topper. So what do you guys think? So far, I am completely blown away from this palette. I am so happy I finally decided to try Unearthly. Not only did it perform wonderfully on the eyes, but also on the cheekbones. All right, well, I'm just going to add a little bit of lipstick or lip gloss, I'm not sure which, and then I will see you in a second for the topic of the day. Welcome to the topic of the day. So for those who live in Michigan and pay for auto insurance, I might have some good news for you. So recently, Governor Whitmer announced a $3 billion in surplus for auto funds. Now, due to the pandemic and not having as many claims when it comes to catastrophic coverage, this is where the extra surplus money is coming from. So if you were paying for auto insurance in the year 2021, as long as you had the insurance by October 31st, then you may qualify for a refund in 2022. So they have mentioned this is a $3 billion surplus in which they intend to give auto owners $400 per vehicle that had insurance. Now keep in mind there are always stipulations and certain exceptions, as well as October 31st was just the date that I heard. So if you were driving vehicles that were insured in the year of 2021 that are still insured in 2022, then I definitely recommend reaching out to your auto insurance company to find out if you qualify for this refund. And I have heard that if you do qualify for this refund, to expect the checks to be mailed out no later than May 9th, 2022. So if you have any questions, please reach out to your auto insurance company. So that was my quick topic of the day. Next, let's move into my final thoughts. So let's talk about this Sleepover palette from Unearthly Cosmetics. I am just completely blown away by the quality of these pigments. They are absolutely stunning. Not only were they pigmented, but they blended out so quickly. You know, there's not too many palettes that you can just sit there and blend for a couple of seconds and have the brush do the work for you, but this is definitely one of them. And while the mattes were extremely silky or buttery and just overall very easy to work with and blend out, those shimmers pack a punch. Holy cow. My only regret is not trying Unearthly Cosmetics sooner. Now that I've tried this one palette, I can definitely see what all the hype is about. Now this is an indie brand that I can definitely get behind. Their prices are pretty reasonable in my opinion, but overall the quality and the aesthetic of the brand is just beautiful. So if you were thinking of picking up the Sleepover palette, if the color story appealed to you, but you weren't really sure about the quality, I highly recommend giving them a shot. Alright, well if you guys want to see another look number 2, let me know in the comments down below. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed the topic of the day as well as the wear test and review of this Unearthly Sleepover palette. If you did enjoy the video, please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. I just want to thank you guys so much for watching another one of my videos, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye, guys.